trust that we're going to have fun today. All right, let me start seeing you. If you can hear me, let me know. Let me know if the audio is okay so that we can quickly go into what we have today. All right. Yeah, start. Let's go. Okay. Big Mommy says, good evening, my boss. All right. Welcome. Please, I want to be sure if the audio is okay. Once again, this is the second episode of the School of Poultry, and okay, you can hear. Thank you very much, Obina. Thank you. Okay, so this is the second episode of the School of Poultry, and like you must have seen in the thumbnail, I said I was going to share a secret with you, and that's just what it's going to be. What you are going to hear today is going to help your farming experience, and I'm sure you're going to testify after now. All right. So thank you. And I want to quickly run a check. If you, okay, let me say it this way. If you're managing your farm yourself, if you're running your farm yourself, just write A. But if you have workers who are doing it, you are not always available, you just come in once in a while, just say B. Okay, so let me know. If you are managing your farm yourself, you are the one running the farm most of the time, maybe you just have one assistant helping you, just say A. Type in the comment section, say A. Okay, I can see a lot of A's. And if you have workers working for you, you just come in once in a while. Let me say B. Let me see B. Okay, Princess Adironke says B. All right. Okay, I can see some B's coming in. Most of it A. Okay, so most of us are running the farm ourselves. Okay, B. Okay. All right. So quickly, we are going to talk about a topic that is, what most of us understand it to be may not be what it is, at least maybe not in its entirety. We just understand we are talking about biosecurity first. Then there's something else I want to share with us that will help, especially those of us who are raising broilers, to help us to achieve massive weight, in the shortest period of time. Actually, the kind of results that I get from time to time, it all boils down to this thing. It's not about growth promoters alone. It's not about the kinds of drugs that you use alone. It all comes around this particular thing I'm going to be talking about shortly. But before we do that, let me quickly talk about biosecurity in a way that you might not have heard it. And especially for those of us who are saying B, yes, for those of us who are saying B, it's going to really help you. It's going to transform everything on your farm. Trust me, after this moment, your farm will not be the same. Trust me. All right. And even those of us who are saying A, it will help us. It will keep us in check. It will ensure that we are doing the things that we ought to do at the right time and all the time. It makes it a system that we can't even get out of. We are locked inside the system, and that's how it can work. Because if you do this today and tomorrow you don't do it, you don't abide by the rules, then it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so biosecurity. Before I proceed, biosecurity in a simple form involves everything that you put in place to prevent diseases from coming to your farm and to prevent even losses in other ways like pilfering and all those things. And anyone who has seen my article on biosecurity must have read that biosecurity is actually in three different phases. We have the structural biosecurity that you consider before you even start your farm. When you are starting to build your farm, the fencing, the way the structures are laid out, the way you especially those of us that have big farms, maybe you have up to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 upwards in number of birds. The way you lay out your farm, that you make sure that the birds are far from the gatehouse. The For those of us who have layer birds, you ensure that the place where you are selling your eggs is far from where the birds are. So those are the things that you consider in structural biosecurity. You ensure that the structure is done in a way that 10 years from that time you made the structure, you won't really have regrets. You know that everything is actually in the right shape. You don't have, okay, you don't build your pen house and the egg shed where you'll be selling your eggs or distributing to your customers. You don't put it side by side, and after 5 years, you now see that this thing is actually causing problems. Customers will go to other farms and also bring diseases to your farm. So if you don't do it the right way from the get-go, you're going to have problems and you start complaining after a while. But somebody who has structural biosecurity in mind will already consider those things and everything will be in good shape from the get-go. Okay. And the second one is conceptual biosecurity. That one deals with the whole concept of your farm, everything you are doing, the whole concept of your farm has already considered biosecurity. The way that you want your staff to be working, the rules that you have on ground, the pamphlets that you have given them so that they will read and know that this is the way that we do our things on this farm. All those concepts are what conceptual biosecurity addresses. And the one that most of us are conversant with is the operational biosecurity. Operational biosecurity, excuse me, let me just put this phone on silence. Operational biosecurity now talks about the whole operation, the way you run your farm day after day. As the workers come in, the way they have to put this is what everybody or most people call biosecurity actually. The way people put their legs inside the foot deep. I think that's what most people consider as biosecurity. Just the putting of legs inside or the sole of your shoes inside the foot deep that has been where you have put some chemical, liquid chemical, and you just dip your leg and you're sure that you are not taking microbes into the farm. Excuse me. So that's what most people call biosecurity, but that's not all to it. That's not all to it. So once again, we have structural biosecurity, we have conceptual biosecurity, and we have the operational biosecurity. And beyond the food deep, we're even focusing on operational biosecurity now. Beyond the food deep, clients and anyone entering the farm, they also have to wash their hands. It's not only the legs that can bring in germs, that can bring in pathogens. They also have to wash their hands because they might be touching the door. They might be touching the beds. They might be touching your implements, your equipment that you're using. You might be touching those simple tools like your hand gloves, like the shovel. You might be touching those things, and once they put once they infect those things and your workers also touch it, things like coryza can spread like crazy with that means. So it is important that we do all those things. You don't just say because you have food deep that people don't even obey. They don't even uh, obey the rules all the time. So that's that about that. But there's even one critical aspect of biosecurity I want to address, and that would really help not only those who have said A. Let me check once again if we have other B's. Okay, most of us are saying A. All right. All right. Thank you, Alonso, watching from California. Thank you. So, for those who are saying A, this that I'm about to say will help you and ensure that you are doing this, you are doing whatever is right every time you are doing it repeatedly. And those who have said B, to ensure that even when you are not on your farm, your workers are just doing the right thing. And I'm sure every one of us want that kind of story on our farm. Okay, so there's a way to communicate biosecurity. Is very important. This is something that is key. You know, when you are, like I said, I think I mentioned it in the last stream, in the last School of Poultry session, that when you are treating diseases, it's because you have sinned. That's how some of us see it. It's because you have messed up at a point. It may not be you directly, it may be somebody, it may be a worker. So somebody has sinned and you're trying to cover up for that sin. That's why you use drugs. But that aside, once you have these things I'm about to say in place, it helps you. And that is the right way to communicate biosecurity first to yourself. If you're managing your farm by yourself, you need to communicate biosecurity to yourself. And how do you do this? Number one, let me start with the familiar one, the very obvious one. That foot dip you're talking about, I'm drawing a square actually on my note here. That foot dip you have on your farm in front of at the entrance of your pen, you should ensure that it is long enough. I'm saying long enough, that is from the foot of the door to the beginning of the foot dip right now. It is long enough that you cannot skip it. You should not be able to skip it easily. Before you skip it, you must be either jumping or really stretching your leg. If it is long enough, you will find out that you must put your leg inside that foot dip before you enter your pen. Because there are people that have the foot dip, but because maybe you have entered the farm before in the morning, and because you are entering again, you just feel, I've been on this farm, let me just cross this foot dip. So a lot of people are just skipping the foot dip. You are not doing what you ought to do all the time. And just a moment of skipping the rules can ruin everything on your farm. So you need to make sure that the foot dip is actually wide enough such that you can't skip it easily. You must have to jump. And because you don't want to jump, it reminds you, that creates a kind of reminder that, oh, I actually need to dip my leg inside this foot dip. That's number one. Another thing is to actually have visuals around your farm. This one is not just for you. It's not just for you, those of you who are saying A. It's not just for you. It's also for those who are saying B. And for those who are saying A, it's also for your customers as they are coming across, as they are coming inside your farm. You need to have visuals on your farm. You see, I've worked and consulted for big farms, small farms, farms that have thousands of birds, 10,000, even up to 50,000 plus. And I've noticed that all these farms they are all the same, but they have one common problem, not even one, they have common problems, but then the way that they address the problems is what is different. You see, small farms and big farms, they have basically the same problem, the same set of problems, but the way they address those problems is what is different. So having visuals on your farm from the gatehouse, when you're entering a big farm, for example, you will know that there are places you should not get to. You will see visual, you will see out of bound for non-workers. All those things are important. Because you are having maybe just 500 birds on your farm or even 200 birds does not mean you should not put those things in place. So those visuals will actually help to remind you and also remind your visitors on your farm. You need to have visuals, when you, even those who have access to your pen, you should have visuals on the door that shows somebody actually dipping his or her leg in the food dip. That is a reminder. Human beings may want to be lazy occasionally, but such reminders will tell them, okay, guy, put your leg inside this food dip. You have a picture of somebody who is doing the right thing. So once they get there, it reminds them that they ought to do this. You have a picture or you have a notice that tells people do not go beyond this if you are not a worker on the farm. So as they are approaching, they see the sign, they will see if they need to get to somebody inside, they signal the person to come. Hey, your signboard says I shouldn't exceed this place. Come on, I need attention. Please attend to me. So those things are important. You need to start acting in those ways if you want to minimize the occurrence of diseases on your farm as much as possible. All right. So if you are enjoying the stream, let me hear you. Let me hear your feedback. If you are enjoying the stream, if you think I'm giving you what you need to know, please let me hear you in the comment section. Okay, so that's that about visuals. And one other thing now that will really affect or help those who have said B, that is those who are not really doing the farming by themselves, maybe they just come in once in a while, is the way you communicate biosecurity to your workers. All right, thank you, Mr. Adesoya. The way you communicate biosecurity to your workers. Most of the workers, I was talking to somebody some 2 years ago. We're talking about employing some workers All right, thank you, Mrs. Olubumi. Thank you. Visuals are important. Thank you, sir. All right, so I was talking to the person about 2 years ago. We were trying to recruit some workers on the farm, and I was saying, okay, the workers will be able to do this in the morning, do this in the afternoon. The person was like, "Are you not in Nigeria? Don't you remember that workers in Nigeria want you to remind them of what to do every day. You have told them this thing yesterday, you told them, okay, in the morning you do this. The following morning, they want to sit down and wait for you to come and tell them again. That's why we have supervisors. And if the supervisors are not working, I tell you, the workers, the casual workers will just be looking. They won't do anything. So you need to continually remind them. So, but there's a way you communicate biosecurity to them that it sticks. It becomes part of them. They become a co-laborer with you. You're trying to have all the profit you can get. You are trying to maximize your profit. You are trying to reduce the incidence of diseases. If you want them to also be consciously doing the same thing with you, there's a way you can do it. And it's really simple. It's really simple. The first thing you need to do is you need to appeal to their conscience. Yeah, you need to appeal to their conscience. And you start from instructing them. Yeah, that works. Everybody wants to instruct workers when they come. You want to like sensitize them. You want to thank you, chicken support system. You want to sensitize them. You want to tell them, okay, as you are recruiting them, you are telling them, okay, these are the things that you do on this farm. We don't step inside this place without putting our legs there. You do this. That's good. That's good enough. But I tell you, after a couple of days or weeks, if they are good enough, after a couple of weeks, all those things you begin to see them faulting all those rules. You begin to see them messing up. So you need to continually train and retrain and retrain and retrain them until it becomes part and parcel of them. Until it becomes part of them. Yeah, I'm noting this down as I'm saying this. I'm getting something and I'm noting it down so that I won't forget. So until it becomes part and parcel of them. And one of the ways to also retrain them, you don't just call them and say, okay, yeah, today you all have been messing up. I need to tell you what to do. You need to do these things right. No, no. It will work, but it doesn't work all the time. It doesn't work all the time because most of the times workers are just there to get their own salary. They are not really concerned about your profit. They're not really concerned about whether your farm is doing well or not. At least not, I would say maybe 80% or more of casual workers in Nigeria, for example, they are not concerned about the progress of your farm. They are just hungry and they want to get money. They just want to do their work and get paid and get out of your farm. So that's it. So because of that, you need to organize trainings in ways that will be effective. You need to gather casual meetings. You need to set up casual meetings, not necessarily a meeting that you're calling and they are already like, okay, this boss is going to condemn us, is going to complain today. No, you need to call small meetings, small gatherings. It could even be in the form of get together where everybody is marrying. You have given them good stuff. Maybe they have drinks, they are drinking, they are happy, everybody is marrying, and you try to educate them that this is how we can continue to get better results. This is how your incentives can continue coming. It could be after you have increased their salaries. Maybe after most of them have worked for a couple of months and you have increased their salary and you call a get together and you begin to sensitize them. This is what you can continue to get if the farm continues to progress. They need to be aware, they need to know that the progress of the farm will also affect them. Until they know that, they will not do things that will positively affect you. They will just do their work the way they will and get out of your farm. So it's important that we carry our workers along, let them know. Don't just tell them, prove it to them. Call get-togethers, celebrate them, give them bonuses, and during those times, during those happy times, during those cheerful times, pass the knowledge. communicate biosecurity, let them know that you don't do this, you don't do that. You don't just scold them all the time. It shouldn't be during scolding that you teach biosecurity. Nobody wants to hear all that during that. So that's that about the biosecurity. Don't forget, if you have not started your farm, you're looking to start, please start with a professional. Get help from a professional. Let them educate you from the structures. So many things can go wrong, and if you get it wrong from the get-go, it may be hard to address some things. It may be hard to address some faults, some issues later on. And then conceptual biosecurity, you need to draw out a concept from the get-go, analyze and say, okay, this is how we'll be doing it stage by stage, how this stage of work will not affect this one. For example, this conceptual biosecurity thing, for example, maybe you have a broiler house and you want to use just one big house for maybe 3 to 4 batches. You need to draw out the concept that the ones that are coming in are fresh will not join old ones that are almost out of the house. You need to do it in such a way that even if you are going to be using the same house for like 3 batches or 4 batches, the ones that are very new that are coming in should be at this distant end, while the old ones that are about going out should be at the last end. And the ones that are new should be far from the beginning of the farm. As people are coming in, they should not have access to the new beds first. They can have access to the older ones that are almost going out, that you're about to call, you're about to sell out. So these are concepts that you need to analyze and communicate to your workers. They should know it, and this is how your farm will run. Those are conceptual biosecurity issues. And then the operational is what we have just discussed. I just expatiated on it. You need to educate people. The food dip should be used. The hand wash should be used. All those things should be used. And one thing that is very key, there should be no exception. Oh, is the boss's son, let him enter without putting his leg inside the food dip. No, there should be no exception, because Newcastle does not know the boss's son. Coriza does not know the boss's son. There should be no exception. You have to do it. The boss has to do it. The boss's son, the boss's daughter, the boss's wife, no matter who they are, everybody has to obey the rules of biosecurity. And that's one way that you can limit the number of occurrences of diseases on your farm. All right. So now let's move, because our time is fast spent. We have 23 minutes gone already. If you have any question on biosecurity, please drop it in the comment section while I quickly talk about the other tip about broiler growth. Yeah, about broiler growth. I know I could mention the fact that you should choose the best breed of broiler if you want them to grow well. That's obvious. That's pretty obvious. I could also say that maybe this part is not obvious. I could also say that you should ensure that you have all your feed on ground, so that as your birds are coming in, they have enough feed and you don't run out of feed. You don't start managing the feed in the beginning. That also could be obvious. But this part, maybe a lot of people may be falling short in this part that I'm about to say. And this is the part where water comes in. Most of us don't understand the importance of water to broilers. Like I always say, your broilers are meat making machines. You can get the best feed that has 25% protein, crude protein for broilers, which is so high. That is so high protein. It's even too much. You should be having maybe 23% max for birds. For chickens, if you are talking about turkeys, you have up to 28. But let's even assume that you have 25% crude protein in your feed. That means the feed is so rich and it's supposed to produce remarkable results. You could be buying it from the best source. Maybe it's coming from Holland. It's so good. But if you don't provide your birds with clean, fresh water, all those feed is just waste of money. Yeah. And I'm going to explain the work or the role of water to you in a bit. So I'm expecting a few questions from biosecurity. Are we saying that all of us will understand what I've said about biosecurity. No questions on biosecurity. Uh, okay, let me see your question. If you have any question on biosecurity, let me see your question on biosecurity before I conclude on this issue of water. I'm going to explain the role of water and why it is so important. So quickly, let's drop our questions. I'm waiting. I'm about to get a file for you. I'm going to be putting it on the screen. Okay. So water is so important. You can't do without it, and especially cool and clean fresh water. Water has to be clean. It has to be fresh. Okay. Okay. Any question? Just throw it in. I'm coming. Throw your question in. I'm coming. Okay. Okay. So I have 6 people. Okay. May I know the examples of what to use as leg deep? The name of chemicals. All right. One there. And another. Is there a way to practice biosecurity with broilers kept in cage? Yeah, of course. Of course. Okay. So let me start from this one. Let me start from this one quickly. Yeah, people use polythene, people use neodyne. You see, there are a couple of you can use Vinco Kill, all those Vox. So all those disinfectants generally would work inside your food dip. So people can even use Izal. And one thing to take note is when you are using those disinfectants, check for the manufacturer's guide, there are inclusion levels. For example, for each use, there are inclusion levels. For example, in your food tip, they can say one ratio 1 to 400 or 1 to 200 or 1 to 300, depending on what the manufacturer feels will work. That is, in every 400 liters, you put 1 liter. So that means in every 400 mils of water, you put 1 mil. In every 40 liters of water, you put that should be 40 40 mils, 400 mils. Yeah, that should be 400 mils. So you work that ratio out, and that's what you had. You don't just get the water in the food dip and just take the cap and just pour without knowing what you are pouring. Don't say, this is how I saw that person do it. You don't know the volume of water in their food dip. You don't know the particular disinfectant they are using. So you need to find out what is the right amount of disinfectant to put inside the food dip. That's very important, and it is always written on the gallon. It's always written on the gallon, so it's important that you know, because without that it will not work. They must have tested it, because let me start an example for you. When you are trying to disinfect something under the sole of your feet, you expect that whatever germs will be there will also be there with some soil, with some debris, because the sole of your feet will be dirty. And when you are using disinfectant indoor, you say the surface must be already clean. So whatever you're using in your food dip must be stronger than what you would normally use to clean surfaces inside. So that's just an example for you. Is it advisable to wash with liquid soap per detergents. I don't quite understand that question. But if you're asking if you can clean up your food dip with liquid soap, okay, liquid soap or detergent, what are you washing? Yeah, what are you washing? Are you washing um your drinkers and feeders? I need to know what you're washing. Okay. Okay, washing feeders and drinkers. You can wash them occasionally with liquid soap or detergent. But one clause to that is whenever you want to vaccinate, a day before you vaccinate, from one day before you vaccinate, never use detergents to wash your drinkers. I'll tell you why. Yeah, there's reason for everything, and that's one of the reasons why this school of poultry is holding, because farmers do a lot of things that they don't know the reason why they are doing it. The reason why you don't use detergents to wash your drinker or feeder before vaccination is because those detergents, those cleaning agents, they have chlorine inside it, and your chlorine will destroy vaccine. So that organism inside the vaccine that is making it work will die. The chlorine may kill it, so it can ruin your vaccination. And that's why most people or many people have vaccine failure. They don't know why they have the vaccine failure. Some people feel because I want to vaccinate, I should even clean this drinker very well and wash it with detergent solution. No, it will only ruin the process. So that's why you should not wash your drinkers and feeders before vaccine. But other days you can, if you want, you can just wash it thoroughly occasionally. You don't have to do that always. Or every day you can be using just sponge and water, but occasionally, maybe once every 3 days or once a week, you can use detergent to clean it thoroughly. Okay. Is bleach acceptable as a disinfectant? Yeah, people use bleach, people use hypo, and hypo is quite strong. It works on a wide range of organisms. You see, one very important thing to also notice: what is the range of organisms that the disinfectant will destroy? No matter how offensive the odor produced by the disinfectant is, that does not tell of its strength. It's not how choky it is that matters. There are organisms that can survive inside a disinfectant that is choking. So it's not about how choking it is. What is the range of organism it can kill? I'm trying to look around me if I still have the label for the Vacon hairs. I once talked about Vacon hairs. Vacon hairs actually ad, it addresses 99 point something percent of all poultry diseases. So if you are using Vacon hairs inside your disinfectant, inside your food dip, for example, you are sure that you are taking care of Newcastle, Gumboro, anything. So Vacon hairs is very strong. It's not really in Nigeria. I had to import it from the United States, and it's it's not even on the shelf on Amazon like that. I don't know if it's back on the shelf, but last time I checked, it was a tablet form that was available. So it's really scarce. All right. So that's that about this disinfectant. Let me see if my video is up now. All right, there's something I want to show you, and this is something typical that happens. You're going to see me some years back. I think this should be 2012. This should be 2012. I was with a friend of mine, a colleague of mine. You're going to see something. Now, I was talking about water, that you should try as much as possible to serve your birds with clean, fresh water all the time. But you will not be able to achieve this if you don't have automatic drinkers. Yes, automatic drinkers, if you cannot start today to have them, maybe you have a small farm you are planning to grow, please start to plan to have them, even if you don't have them now. Automatic drinkers are really good and will help you to be able to provide your birds with clean, fresh water all the time. Yeah, and this is important for digestion. We say broilers are meat making machines, and if you don't maximize that potential that they have by also helping them to digest the food that you are giving them. If you give them feed and they are not able to digest it fast because they are not drinking clean water, if they have access to stale water, maybe water from yesterday or water they have been drinking since morning, the weather is hot, everything is still there. If they are only having access to that kind of water, they won't drink as much as they would if you provide them with fresh water. Consider this: sometimes you have water in the drinkers but it has stayed for a long time, and then you just go to your pen and you start to change the water, you put in fresh ones. The birds that were sleeping and hibernating before, once they sight that fresh water, they rush at the drinker and begin to drink. So what would happen if you don't give them that fresh water? They'll keep resting, relaxing. The digestion that should be fast, the more they eat, the more the feed digests, the more the feed is converted into meat. The more they don't drink much water, the less conversion that will happen. So you will not be getting all the result you should get. The feed will stay long in the crop and you feel, oh, my birds are full. The feed will just stay long in the crop and be waiting there till forever. So when you are supposed to sell out your chickens in 5 weeks, you may be selling out in 6 weeks plus, because all those extra hours that the water is staying in their drinker and it's become stale, it's becoming stinky. Excuse me. Sometimes you have the wood shavings fall inside the on the edge of it, especially when you are not raising your drinkers appropriately. So all these things matter. And what I'm about to show you, you cannot do without it on your farm. If you have workers working for you, your workers will want to put.
Oh boy.
Now that's funny. That's funny. That was my colleague and I. We were having our lunch, I guess, and we were so happy we were having fun. I tell you, if your workers are having that kind of moment, there's nothing your best can do to take that moment until that moment is gone. So there are times that your workers will be like that. They may be gisting, they may be eating, they may be doing some things, and your birds are due to have fresh water. Maybe some drinkers, out of 100 drinkers, maybe about 25 are out, no water in them. And they're just waiting, okay, let's wait until maybe half or even more than half is empty. And broilers are lazy. Those ones that are close to the drinkers that are empty will just stay there and be waiting until water will come. They are seeing water afar off, but because they are lazy, they're just waiting for water to come. So you begin to have growth that is not uniform within the house, uneven growth among your flock. So that when you want to sell, some are 3 kg and some are still playing around 1.8 kg. And that is not good for your farm. It's not good in terms of profit making. So the advantages of having your automatic drinkers are enormous. They are enormous. You can't just count it. It's enormous. Your workers will gist, they will play, and you can't stop that. If you're around, maybe you're able to get them to get their hands working all the time, 24/7, but you will go out, you will leave the farm, and things will go wrong. I tell people, but they feel, most of them think, do you think automatic drinkers are cheap? In the long run, it is actually cheap because you'll be getting the results, and the results will pay off. In 2 cycles, you get the money for your automatic drinkers from your profit. So it's important that we have this tip and we don't forget it. Okay, I'm seeing somebody saying, okay, I noticed my chickens have fleas. They have dead parts. The coop has 9 inches of pine shavings in the run. I use that too. Yeah, that works. That works in the coop and on them, but seems it's not working. Any tips? Yeah, that soil, that heart is supposed to work, and you allow them to bath in it. If they are doing it well inside it, it's supposed to kill the fleas. Yeah, it's supposed to kill the fleas. And another thing you can do is to sprinkle neem oil or neem water around their coop. Yeah, that works too. Neem can send away the fleas and destroy them. And if you have, if they have anything, if you have some of it on their shank, yeah, their legs. If you have some of it on their shank, you can dip it inside. Do you call it gasoline? I think this person is talking from the United States. We call it petrol over here. You can actually dip their leg just for a few seconds inside the petrol, and it's going to destroy, because those things can hide inside the scales on their shank. I don't know the I don't know the particular chickens you have, but mature chickens can have some gaps there, and those fleas can hide there. Okay. And once they are batting in the earth and you use neem oil or neem water, neem juice, just sprinkle it around. It's it takes care of the situation. Okay. So I believe we got the uh okay, some disinfectant like VeroQ can be added. Yeah, okay. I like to address this. Yeah. You see, we'll talk about, I think there's what we call um antiseptic and disinfectant. I want to be sure that antiseptic is the right word, is the other word. You see, your disinfectant at a lower ratio would also help to remove microorganisms, that's bacteria now, inside your chickens. It will help to kill microbes without harming your chicken. Something like the neodine. Yeah, neodine is used to also um, flush the system of your chickens. If they're having bacterial diseases, it can be added to their water. But it's not the same level. The level you had inside your food dip is not the same level you had inside the water for your best. So that's it. You can be adding maybe 1 part to 1,000 parts in their water to drink, but in their food dip it will not be up to 1,000 parts, maybe 1 part of that disinfectant to maybe 200 to 400 parts of water. But in the water for drinking, the water must be so much but just a little disinfectant. Yeah, just like the water purifier that humans take too. Those, not all, you don't, I don't expect you to go and put Vinco Q. I don't expect you to put Vaconhes inside their drinking water. So we should take note of that. I think neodine, polydine, those ones are used even inside their drinking water. Okay, so that's just by the way. Yeah, Vaseline petroleum jelly for shanks. Yeah. The shank is important. It's important to take care of the shank because it's a hiding place for those ectoparasites. This question, okay. The leg deep, is it the bare feet? You're expected to wear a to have your footwear when you are entering the pen. But even if you decide to go in with your bare feet, make sure you are disinfecting it. You are disinfecting it. Another scenario is maybe you have you have been walking around the farm with your slippers and you want to enter the pen with your bare feet. For example, I like to enter inside a brooding house where there are chicks with my bare foot because it's good that your senses are working so smart. Those chicks can easily get under your feet, and before you know it, you step on them. But if you're walking inside there with your bare feet, you can easily know when your leg is touching them. But if it was a slippers, you won't know when your leg will match them and all that. So in that case, I may just disinfect the sole of the slippers and remove it and then walk with my bare foot because my feet were not touching the floor, the ground outside anyway. So that's it. But whatever you have been using outside that has been making contact with the floor, you need to disinfect it. If you have been walking around the farm with your bare foot, you need to disinfect your leg. Okay, so we are good to go. Okay, this person says, what happened to your fermented feed project? Okay, actually, I needed to get extra buckets, and we've been on a feed formulation masterclass. We are almost done. We are almost done. If you did not join the masterclass, I encourage you to join the next batch. I'll be announcing another batch very soon. So I will encourage you to join the next batch. It's so loaded. I tell you, you you don't want to miss it. Actually, you don't want to miss it. If you are trying to maximize your profit in poultry farming, you don't want to miss that feed formulation masterclass. Okay, let me just type the name of the disinfectant that I mentioned in case anybody wants to check. Vinco Q, Vox. The one I mentioned that I said I have and I love so much is Vacon S. Okay, so those works. All right, so I just need a little bit more questions. I need a little bit more questions to answer before we close. All right. Yeah, the neem juice can be made from neem leaves. Yeah, but the oil is mostly extracted from the seed. However, you can make the oil from the leaf as well. I've done that before. You just need some olive oil uh to aid the process. So you can make the oil base from the leaf as well. You can make both the juice and the oil from the leaf. Okay. All right. So if that, we might be ending the session if those are the questions that we have for today. Using automatic drinkers for layers. Won't the birds be pouring the water if they are flying around the pen? As a matter of fact, I've used automatic drinkers in even the bell type in farms with over 10,000 layers in one single house. The drinkers are maybe the one you're talking about, but the drinkers are heavier than you think. And there's a way you regulate that it doesn't get filled to the brim of the bell. So you can even set it that it's not close to the brim at all, so that even if there is an impact on the bell, the water will not splash that much, especially if the thing that eats it is so heavy. And birds inside the deep litter, especially if they are the ones that are still going inside the cage, most of the time, if you are raising them in the deep litter first before they move them inside the cage, they are maximally 1.5 kg. Not even many of them that we have in Nigeria will eat 1.5 on the floor. Most times they are some of them are less than 1 kg, and they are sold as point of lay. But actually the appropriate weight for your point of lay should be around 1.5, 1.4, 1.5 as at the time you are caging them. But things are falling short of standards. It's better you raise your birds by yourself. I doubt if you see that from any farmer nowadays. Okay. Can one achieve 3 kg with core 500 in 6 weeks? I've achieved 3.2 something kg, and I showed everybody. I did Zatec core 500 in, I think it was the first brooding management series video I did on YouTube, and I showed everyone it was 3.2 plus that I had at 6 weeks. So it's possible. As a matter of fact, I would get similar results with any of the breeds. Any of the breeds. If I do my shao sometimes are slow. It's not even sometimes. It's just that occasionally they can surprise you in the first few weeks. But usually they don't give you the best results in the first few weeks. They eat more to give you the same weight that others will give you. But even with Marshall, you should still eat 3 kg in 6 weeks, or minimum 2.8, 2.9. Okay. All right. We are asking some questions. Okay. Some general questions. Maybe I should just take a few before we close. I'll close it in the next 9 minutes. Okay. What causes broiler head swelling and then they stop eating? Okay. Your broiler head swells depends on the part of the head that is swelling actually, because even the comb can swell. But I believe you're talking about the areas around the eyes, surrounding the eyes, and that's the sinuses. And most of the time, especially with broilers, most of the time it is CRD, chronic respiratory disease. So it causes the sinuses to swell. So around their eye is swollen. Sometimes there is a little bit of lacrimation, that is, water fluid is coming out of the eye. And generally, sick birds don't want to eat that much. So maybe that's why there's loss of appetite. And if the sinuses, if there is any swelling around the sinuses, it would all, it's just like the eye and the nose and the mouth, they are connected inside. The same for humans. So maybe ingestion is also painful for the bird, because the swelling is not only external, it's also internal. There will be swelling inside too. So as the bird is trying to open the mouth to eat, to ingest the feed, there may be pain. So those are the things that cause loss of appetite, loss of zeal to eat, and all that. So you need to treat that before the bird will want to eat again. All right. Which organic supplements serve as calcium? Okay, we do use eggshell most of the time. We just blend it inside multivitamins. So we have it as a combo pack that we call multivitamin calcium. So that's it. Eggshell is organic, and it is high in calcium. It's a rich source of calcium. Okay, pictures of automatic water drinkers that you use. All right, so what I'll do is, if you need pictures or things like that, I'd have you send me a WhatsApp message on that line on the screen. If you need a picture, I could send it to you. All right. Okay, let me take the next 5 minutes to talk about this last one, this last request. Before it, I'll take what causes leg weakness in broilers. Yeah, most of the time it's deficiency in calcium. When there's calcium deficiency, then the legs are weak. And broilers are fast growing. The rate at which they grow in muscle, in the flesh, maybe it's faster than the rate at which the bone is able to carry their weight. So most of the time they have challenges with carrying their weight. And one thing that I do is that I supplement calcium from the early stage. You don't wait until the problem is starting before you now start to supplement calcium. Supplements are not really for control of diseases. So when they are deficient in calcium and they are already showing the leg weakness, it is more difficult to control. But if you start to supplement with calcium in the first few weeks, I start from after week one. I give them the first dose of extra calcium. I boost their calcium, and I do it on a weekly basis. So week two, I give it another dose. Week three, I give it like that. And when they are about week four, week five, I can give them twice a week and all that. So it's important that you are supplementing calcium to help them able to assist them to carry their weight. Okay, leg weakness in layers. Yeah, their feed has to be rich in calcium too because they are bringing out calcium for you day after day as they are laying eggs. They are releasing calcium, and if they are not eating calcium enough calcium in their diet, what will happen is they will be extracting calcium from their own bones, especially the bones of the legs. They are extracting calcium from it, so the legs will be weaker. And that's why you see when you are eating spent layers, most of them, their legs are easily broken. You can just crush the legs. Okay, so that's it. Any layer that is not taking enough calcium in their diet, they will have weak legs. And they don't exercise their legs. They are just in a cage. They have this small confinement. Those ones are in cages, so they don't exercise that much, and it's another source of problem for them. Okay, so feed fermentation. Did I just say it's good? Feed fermentation is good. I'm still going to make that video as I promised. The poultry feed formulation masterclass should end on Sunday or thereabout. So I just need to get the buckets that I intend to get. I've not really been able to go far. As a matter of fact, I need to get lighting for this place. I don't quite like the lighting I'm using. I'm just managing what I have here. So I'm trying to get lighting. I thank God for the camera, thank God for the PC. And if God wants to use you, please send me a good lighting. And I'll appreciate that. So hopefully by the time we're having the next School of Poetry session, I should have a better light for us. So the same for the feed formulation or feed fermentation. I will do that video. I'll make the video soon, very soon. In the next couple of days, I should be able to do it, and I will show you. But what I can say now is that it's good. Feed fermentation is good. It's going to add lactobacillus to your chicken gut. So and that is like adding good bacteria, and that would in a way help them to drive out bad bacteria. And apart from that, it makes the nutrients in the feed more accessible to the birds. There's what we call accessibility and the rate of assimilation. For example, your chicken feed may have 23% crude protein, but out of that 23, they are only able to utilize 19% crude protein. Sometimes we use protein enzyme to help them access more protein, and things like fermentation can also help your birds to have access to more of the protein instead of them just excreting the protein back inside their feces. So the advantages of feed fermentation is actually much. However, it's a little bit of stress for some people because you have to consciously take your feed, pour it inside a container, add water and all that, leave it for days to ferment, check every 12 hours. All those things are cumbersome for some persons. So they just want to get their feed bag open, pour for their chickens and let them eat and they get out. So it depends on whether you are ready for it or you are not ready. But if you want to know if it's good, it's good. It's good. I've done it. As a matter of fact, I have a blog post on it. I have a video on it on Instagram and all that. So I've done it. And if you have the time, it's actually advantageous. Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Samuel. All right, so I think that will be the end. We have had our 1 hour session of the School of Poetry, the second edition. And like I said, the School of Poetry is always on Fridays, 9 p.m. And in fact, I had to beg my students today to allow us have the poetry feed formulation masterclass for just an hour. Usually we extend it to 2 hours from the hour of 7 to 9, but today I had to plead with them to allow me quickly go take the School of Poultry. And if you want to join the next class, you can also send me a message on the WhatsApp. Just let me know, indicate your interest. I might just create the group and start um, gathering those who have interest in it, because occasionally I get I get forgetful about these adverts. I forget to advertise time and time again. So if this might be the time that you have the opportunity, do you have to hear about the next poultry feed formulation masterclass. We teach everything you need to know about poultry formulation. In fact, as a matter of fact, I can tell you categorically that I wish I was taught like this when I was in school reading animal science. I wish I was taught the way I'm teaching them poultry feed formulation. So for me to say that, you should know that it's deep. It's deep. All right. So yeah, from 5 weeks, you should actually deworm your broilers. From 5 weeks, you should deworm your broilers. I practice organic poultry, and one of the things that we use is papaya seeds. We use papaya seeds. If you are interested in the organic course, you can also take the organic course. You can send me a message on our WhatsApp line. The organic course is available. You have immediate access to everything we've talked about, the videos, the demonstration videos, and all that. You have immediate access once you join. So, but you need to deworm. There are worm expellers for birds. If you get to the drugstore, you can get worm expellers. So it's a normal thing for your broilers to have worms from 5 weeks. But if you're using garlic often too, that takes care of worms. Garlic takes care of worms. What can stop my broilers from stooling water? Okay, I'm just going to allow some more questions. I think people are sending more questions. Let me allow more questions before I go. It depends. It depends on their age for this stooling of water. It depends on their age, and it depends on the environmental weather condition. From the age of 3 weeks upwards, your birds can stool more of water, and it's just normal. Yeah, but it should have some solid inside of it. And if you study, for example, if you study a particular bird, a particular chicken that stools water, and you try to remove that chicken, you can just separate it and examine. It should not be stooling that water or watery poop all the time. Maybe after a while in the evening or in the morning, you should poop the normal texture of poop. So it should not be watery all the time. But most often in the afternoon, where the weather is hot and they are drinking lots of water, they have the tendency to stool watery poop. But if it is diarrhea, then you should just treat diarrhea. It can be diarrhea too. So you just treat diarrhea. For those of us practicing organic poultry, we can use scent leaf to just take care of that. But important to note is the fact that you need to know the dosage of all these things. That's one of the reasons why you need to take the course. The course is important if you want to know the dosage so that you don't harm your birds and all that. Okay, I think I've addressed all the questions that we have here. You can start administering or giving fermented feed from week 2. Yeah, you can start doing that from week 2. I've seen those who do it from week 1, but I feel week 2 is okay. Week 2 is okay for them. If you want to give them lactobacillus before that time, you can just give them lactobacillus in their water. You can give them lab in their water, and that works. So, okay. I think these broilers are just not growing, and there are a couple of things that can make that happen. Your brothers are 2 months and 3 weeks. Wow, that should be crazily massive. But you say they are not growing, they are looking like 1 month. 1 month, that's 4 weeks, maybe 1.6 kg. or 1.8 kg. If that's what you're getting, that's really bad. So there are a couple of reasons. It could be that the broilers themselves, they are not quality broilers. That's one. It could be that the feed they are eating is not rich enough. It could be the rate at which you are feeding them. Maybe you're just giving them feed once in a day. It could be Escherichia coli, E. coli. That's a disease pathogen. If you have E. coli in your broilers and maybe it's subclinical, that is, you are not seeing the signs, but it's just there in their system. They won't be growing. It will deter the growth. It will reduce their growth rate, and you just see that they are not growing. A lot of people complain about broiler chicks, and this is their problem, but they don't know. Some people have um dirty pens and all that. So you need to keep your pen tidy. But there are several reasons. I'm just trying to list some reasons that may be the cause. One thing I would advise for somebody who has tried to examine the feed and you are sure that you got good birds, you may just flush them with an antibiotics if you are using antibiotics, and then you follow up with multivitamins so that they can eat more. Okay, so that should work also. That should work. And one other thing is that if you did not start them well, if you didn't give them the level of protein they needed when they were small, it may be the cause. So maybe their organs did not develop well so that they will be able to digest feed in the way they should. So if that is the case, there's really not much you can do. You just boost them, give them growth promoters. We use egg emulsion for the organic side of it, and it works. It works really good. It works really good. Whoa, 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 whoa! There are some questions that are missing here. Okay, vaccination schedule from chiplets. Yeah, most archeries in Nigeria don't actually give vaccination schedules just like that. But you can also send me a WhatsApp message. I think I've seen a message like this before on my WhatsApp, but I was not able to answer it at that moment and I forgot. So if you are the one, you can send me a message again. I should be able to provide you with one. And one thing, earlier in the stream, I mentioned that you need quality chicks. I need to also let you know that if you want to get quality chicks, you can approach DIY. We supply day-old chicks that are quality, and that's one of the reasons why I actually went into the business of supplying day-old chicks. I mean, getting from the hatcheries and supplying customers is because I wanted to be able to give them value. A lot of people complain. They'll call. They'll say they have asked for direct Zatek. They didn't get Zatek. They believe what they got is not Zatek. They ask for it, and I know the funny deals that people do, that vendors do, distributors, marketers do. They do crazy things. Not all of them are dubious, but there are some dubious ones. Those who will take your money, they will collect the money for agrited, which is the most expensive broiler in Nigeria, and they will give you the cheapest. They'll just get the best, pack it inside the agrited cartons for you and all that. They go to the length of even painting the beds. Maybe agrited painted their beds on a particular market day. They too will find the same color of paint and just paint the beds and package it in their cartons and just sell to customers. It's crazy. Somebody like me would never do that. I would never do that. Yeah, occasionally I might have issues with the customers I supplied. It happens occasionally, even from the hatcheries. If you are able to get maybe in thousands, you get it from directly from the hatcheries. Occasionally they have problems. Hatcheries have problems occasionally. I could say that there's no hatchery that will not have maybe just a minor problem once in a year. So it happens that they have problem, but if you work with a vendor that you can trust, they are able to trace the source of the problem, and they are able to compensate or redeem such. It doesn't just go like that. You can't have any major problem and nobody deals with it. So that's one thing that I do for customers. Even if you have issues, a minor issue, maybe your birds did not grow, and that doesn't happen, maybe out of 100 times, maybe just one or two. So we have high success rate, and we'll try as much as possible to give you just what you order for. We'll give you direct bets. So if there's a problem from the artery or from the transporter or so, we'll try to address it and we'll get you what you want. All right. So just that number is the number to call if you are interested in getting anything from DIY Agric. We also supply you with equipment and all that, all these drinkers and feeders. You can get that from DIY. So that's that. I think we are going to end the chat. Okay, please can you call out your WhatsApp number? I couldn't get it. It's too tiny. Okay. The WhatsApp number is +234 7064953738. +234. Okay, let me just do something now. I'll do something now. Okay, so that's the WhatsApp number. Okay, before the end of the live session, you can copy that WhatsApp number. I prefer WhatsApp chats. I prefer that to calls. I like to tell people that I prefer WhatsApp chats to calls. Before you call, at least send a message, let me know that you're calling. Okay, so that's the WhatsApp number to call or to chat. You can get your needs met, and I provide consultancy services to customers. It doesn't matter the size of your farm, even if it is 20,000 birds and all that, we can handle it for you. From construction to the stage that you get your best in and you start to make your money. Okay, so I believe Mr. Fanny can see the WhatsApp number now. All right, so thank you all for joining, and we'll be meeting again on Friday next week. We'll be meeting again, and before then I'll be telling us what we'll be discussing on Friday. As much as possible, I'll make it come out at least a day before the live session. So thank you all for joining, and if there's anything you want me to know about the live session today, just put it down in the comment section now. If you think it's good enough, if you think there's, because I'll tell you, we are just starting this live session, and you may have some feedback. Please feel free. You can send it to me on WhatsApp. You can decide to put it in the comment section now before we go offline. All right. So thank you too. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining. You enjoyed it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Big Mommy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right. So before we go, don't forget DIY Agric, your number one animal scientist and your poultry success partner. That guy, that boy, that man, whatever you call him, that is trying his possible best to ensure that you succeed as a poultry farmer, that you succeed. I've actually tried it when I was so much younger than now, and I failed. And because of that, it's one of the reasons that spurred me to read animal science, and I got to know all the things that I was doing wrong, and I felt I could also help somebody. So that person may be you. So don't forget to meet us again next week, Friday by 9 p.m. All right. So till then, take care and stay safe. Bye.